This video is for anyone who's looking to study the violin independently. These are my top 5 tips to help you learn faster so that you can get the best out of the experience, but most importantly so that you can play for as long as possible. Getting a good instructor is absolutely essential. If you don't have one, you'll resort to a lot of trial and error. So I think it's a must to have one if you can, at least at the very beginning. Once you are familiar with some of the basic things about violin learning, then you can venture out on your own to research topics that really makes you tick. Tip number 1, don't use a mute. Avoid using a mute at all costs unless you really need it, because the temptation to use one is going to be very high because the violin is loud and pretty scratchy. So if you're wanting to develop a beautiful sound on the instrument, you'll need that constant feedback from the violin. So yeah, instead what you can use is something like this. It's an earpiece, and I have Ilka to thank for recommending this over at Violin Lab when I used to be a member. Yeah, it looks like this if you haven't seen it before, and it just goes in one ear. I use it on my left ear, and you will never find me practicing without wearing one now. So yeah, my best advice is to embrace making bad sounds as well as good sounds, because it's all part of the learning process. Right now I'm studying one of the Bach solo movements, and I'm at the beginning stages of learning this movement. That's why I'm making all kinds of scratchy sounds. So I'm embracing all of that, and I encourage you to do the same. My second tip is to record your practice. Learn how to see and hear your mistakes, and basically learn how to become your own teacher. As my old piano teacher once told me, her job was to make her job redundant. Not in the literal sense, but she wanted to encourage her students to become independent and proactive learners. Have a practice diary. You can use the pen and paper method, or better yet, you can use the video journaling method, which I prefer. It's my main reason for keeping a YouTube channel, to keep myself accountable to practicing. I don't expect you to do the same, but I highly recommend it because, for one thing, it's so motivating to connect with fellow adult beginners in the hobby. Not to mention, you'll always have something to look back on, because if you've been in this hobby for a while, you'll find that sometimes your perception of how things are progressing can be a little bit unreliable. So it's really good to have video recording of some sort. Tip number 4 is to listen to a wide variety of music written for the violin, and keep a running list of pieces that you'd like to study in the future. So don't judge yourself too much on whether it's appropriate to your level right now. Just write it down so that you can have a personalized list that you can go to. If you do this, you'll develop your taste in music and build a library of violin repertoires to study. I think it's so important to immerse yourself in violin music so that you can have a better understanding of the range of the instrument, and also what it can sound like in your hands. So my final tip is to let yourself learn something you've always wanted to learn, even if it's hard. Everything is hard anyways on the violin, so you might as well choose something that you actually like. Treat it as a study, and if you find yourself saying, but I'm not ready for this, as I often find myself whenever I'm tackling something that I really want to learn, instead flip it and ask yourself, what can I learn from studying this piece? I really believe that if you like what you're learning, it accelerates your ability to understand certain concepts. So there you go. I hope this was helpful. I will see you very soon on my next video. Thanks for watching.